So, without further ado, I would like to welcome Miss Leelee Young talking to us about makeup effects.
3 years ago, I had no idea makeup effects even existed. I've never been a huge horror movie fan, so I wasn't exposed to many movies that had elaborate creature makeup. And on the one rare occasion that I did watch a movie like that, I didn't pay any actual attention to the makeup. I was probably around 7 or 8 and was more amazed by the yellow brick road, sparkly red shoes, and flying monkeys. Hello, my name is Leelee Young, and welcome to my Masterworks presentation, Makeup Effects, Transformation in Film and Television. In 2017, I slowly developed an interest in makeup when I stumbled upon some face paint in an old art drawer. I began to take reference photos off of the internet and tried to recreate them. Later, I eventually discovered videos and tutorials online, which only motivated me further. I chose to do my Masterworks on this topic because I wanted to take a look behind the scenes of what is seen on screen in film and television. I also wanted to broaden my education on this art form and learn as much about the industry as I could. Makeup effects, or MUFX, is a huge and important part of the film industry. It helps to bring characters to life, highlight a creature, or make an injury look more realistic. The key roles in the makeup industry are studio work and set work. Studio work includes the making of prosthetics, animatronics, costumes, props, sculpting, foam running, silicone running, dental tech, mold making, and painting, which is all done in the workshop. Set work refers more to the application and painting of prosthetics and makeup on the set of a production. The makeup industry mainly consists of two categories, beauty and effects. Some examples of beauty makeup are fantasy, glamour drag, and body painting. Although beauty and effects are usually considered separate fields of work, they can occasionally cross over. For example, body painting can be both beauty or effects makeup. There are many different kinds of beauty makeup, including body makeup, day wear makeup, going out, natural, and corrective makeup. Makeup effects, also called practical effects, includes age, moulage, and prosthetic or creature makeup. Age makeup involves using makeup to realistically age a person's face or skin. Understanding how people age differently in the process of facial aging are key factors in learning how to grasp the idea of age makeup. Most people will usually notice changes in a somewhat predictable order. In most cases, wrinkles first appear in certain points of the face, like the forehead, and then appear more around the mouth and nose. Prosthetic makeup is the process of using molding and casting techniques to help add dimension and complexity to a creature. To create prosthetic appliances, you need to make a negative mold composed of prosthetic alginate or skin-safe silicone rubber. The negative mold is then filled with either gypsum, cement, or special resins to create the positive mold, which is the base of what you want to build on. The shape of the prosthetic must be sculpted into the life cast with clay, smoothing and thinning out as much as possible so it will blend in when applied. Then the second negative mold is made with wet cement over top, covering the clay form. When the mold is ready, the clay is cleaned out of the mold, which is then filled with a material like foam latex, silicone, or gelatin. The material needs to cool before it can be taken out of the mold and applied and painted. Special effects makeup is not only used for entertainment, but also used to help lessen psychological trauma and prepare military personnel and first responders for what they could potentially face in their fields of work. This type of makeup is called moulage. For the majority of my project, I focused on out-of-kit effects. Out-of-kit effects basically means anything you can get out of your kit. This is helpful when you need to create generic things like a basic cut with scar wax or liquid latex. I did, however, get to try out prosthetic transfers, which I'll talk more about later. The film industry has evolved and changed vastly over the years, forcing the makeup to also develop and improve along with it. Not only has the quality of cameras improved, but also the production, shooting, and directing of movies. Because cameras could only film in black and white, the quality of the makeup had very different standards than it does currently. Almost all black and white films use blue-sensitive film, which meant that cameras registered reds and yellows as black and light blues as white. Stage performers brought basic makeup techniques to film and were expected to do their own makeup. It was soon discovered that stage makeup didn't transfer well on camera. The beginning of the 1900s was when special effects makeup really started to become apparent in the film industry. The movie Frankenstein was produced in 1931. The makeup look of Frankenstein's monster was done on Boris Karloff by makeup artist Jack Pierce. This was one of the first movies to incorporate new materials such as cotton, collodion, spirit gum, and green grease paint. Pierce used out-of-kit techniques that had never been utilized before. The look of Frankenstein's monster took a total of 6 hours to apply each time. The Wizard of Oz, released in 1939, was one of the first productions to use prosthetic makeup. As I already mentioned, prosthetic makeup is the process of sculpting, molding, and casting to achieve advanced cinematic changes to the human anatomy. The Tin Man, the Scarecrow, the Wicked Witch, the Cowardly Lion, and the Munchkins were all characters that incorporated prosthetics into their looks. During the making of The Wizard of Oz, the film also demonstrated the dangers of makeup. Buddy Ebsen, who originally played the Tin Man, was replaced by Jack Haley due to a reaction to the aluminum dust they used in his makeup. There were many artists that were important to the evolution of makeup, but I chose to focus in on just 4 of them: Lon Chaney, Dick Smith, Rick Baker, and V. Neil. Lon Chaney is widely regarded as one of the most versatile and prominent actors in early film. He had a talent for transforming himself into characters using makeup effects, which earned him the nickname the Man of 1,000 Faces. He did his makeup so well in The Hunchback of Notre Dame that the finished product was said to have looked like the character had walked directly off of the pages of Victor Hugo's book. All of the pictures on there are of him, and he did his own makeup. Oscar-winning makeup artist Dick Smith was a major innovator in the makeup industry. He is best known for his work in The Godfather, The Exorcist, and The Taxi Driver. He was also responsible for creating the method of layering prosthetics. This technique allowed actors to be able to use their full range of facial expressions and created more flexibility and room for movement. These standard techniques were revolutionary for the makeup industry and completely reformed the way prosthetics were made and used. Rick Baker is a retired makeup artist and creator. He has won Academy Awards for his best makeup 7 times and has been nominated 12 times. His first professional position was makeup assistant to Dick Smith in The Exorcist. Baker was one of the first recipients to receive the inaugural Academy Award for Best Makeup and won it for his work on An American Werewolf in London. More of his talent can be seen in How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Hellboy, Star Wars, The Ring, and in Men in Black. V. Neil is one of the most acclaimed makeup artists to date. She has earned 12 international nominations, won 2 Emmys, has been nominated for 8 Oscars, and won 3 Academy Awards for her work in Beetlejuice, Mrs. Doubtfire, and Ed Wood. She's worked on some well-known productions such as The Hunger Games, Star Trek, Edward Scissorhands, and the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. She started her career in the 1970s when she became one of the first female makeup artists to break into the industry. The makeup industry has come a long way since the beginning and has become popularized through television, and the internet, and social media sites like Instagram and YouTube. These types of exposure have completely changed the way brands market their products and consumers purchase them. Social media has become a way of sharing makeup techniques, keeping up with new products, and identifying the best materials to use. Television has also become a large platform for the makeup industry. Face Off is a reality TV show on the Sci-Fi Network in which special effects and prosthetic makeup artists challenge and compete against each other to create looks based on different categories. Special effects versus practical effects. Over the past few decades, there has been a lot of debate and controversy around CGI and makeup effects. CGI, or computer-generated imagery, is also called special visual effects. It was first used in 1973 in the movie Westworld, but became more apparent in the 2000s. It is the application of computer graphics and software to create visual effects and or contribute to images. The reason directors will opt for CGI is because it is cheaper and faster than practical effects, which is expensive and takes a long time depending on the complexity of the makeup or fabrication. There are a lot of benefits to choosing to go with a makeup team as well. Makeup artist Rick Baker states, "There's a magic that happens when you have a really great actor and a great makeup. They are there on set, they can improvise and do things. If they're on a motion capture stage with a bunch of markers on their face, even great actors have a hard time in an empty room." He explains that using practical effects provides both actors and viewers with an authentic experience and can help actors get into character easier. So does anyone want to guess which are CGI and which are makeup? Vincent? Yeah. Anyone else? Grace? Pardon? CGI. Ursula? Yeah. Twyla? Yeah. Sam? Pardon?
Number 2.
No, it's makeup. Yeah.
Number 6, CGI.
Yeah. Now it's 5 and 8. Hannah?
I think number 5 is CGI.
It's makeup. Connor?
3, 6, and 7.
Pardon?
3, 6, and 7 are CGI, right? No.
1, 6, and 7 are all CGI, and the rest are makeup. Okay. In addition to a research paper, I also did a process journal which detailed all of my makeup education and also my hands-on experiences. Here's some excerpts from my journal with photos of my work. On Sunday, October 21st, 2018, I went to the International Makeup Artist Trade Show. IMATS is one of the largest celebrations of makeup artistry. Makeup professionals from fashion and film provide education and demonstrations at IMATS, and new products are often debuted there. Throughout the day, I noticed that most of the makeup artists were working on their creations, so I was able to see the beginning and end results. I also noticed that the makeup community is very small and everyone knew each other. It was super busy with demonstrations, displays, sales, and there was also a body painting competition happening at the same time. Each of the demonstrations varied in special effects and beauty makeup. At IMATS, my advisor Sarah showed me how to create very basic scrapes using alcohol-activated paints and a stipple sponge, which is the first picture. As the year went on, I began experimenting with scar wax to make 3D wounds. I then moved on to silicone and tested new materials to create burns. January 14th, 2019, I had a makeup lesson at Studio Effects and learned how to create veins. It was a private class, and I knew about the studio because I had done a lesson there a couple years ago. I used collodion for the first time and layered and stippled colors lightest to darkest. Collodion is a clear liquid product used often to create scarring. On Friday, February 15th, I went to my advisor Sarah's studio with my friend. Sarah showed me how to apply and paint 3D prosthetic transfers. 3D transfers are similar to temporary tattoos in application. You peel back the plastic layer and place the prosthetic onto the skin with the paper side up and remove the paper by soaking it with warm water and a sponge. I painted the transfers with alcohol-activated paint. On February 16th, I started my mask of the character Venom from the Marvel comics. I first used a foam head and basic plain mask to build off of. I wrapped the foam head in plastic wrap so the mask wouldn't stick, and then cut the holes and mouth out with an X-Acto knife. I attached the mask to the face of the head and started to build up with paper mache. The next day, I drew stencils of the eyes for later and started to make the teeth out of thermoplastic. Thermoplastic is a plastic polymer material that comes in the form of little beads that melt when heated to a certain temperature. Once it is melted, it can be shaped and molded. When it cools, it solidifies and turns into a hard, durable plastic that can be reused over and over. Then I made the gums and eyes out of liquid latex and painted it. March 18th, I went to the Vancouver Film School and participated in the 2-day creative break. There are a bunch of different departments, including makeup design, film production, acting, sound design, movie visual effects, and classical animation. There are about 15 people in the makeup design classes, and it went from around 8:30 a.m. to 4:00 p.m. We started with orientation before splitting off into separate groups. In the morning, we worked on skulls and getting a feel for the makeup and the tools. Then we learned how to make charcoal tattoo transfers. On the second day, we spent the majority of the class beating each other up with scar wax, cream makeup, and runny blood. And with the leftover time, we created quick burns on our hands with liquid latex, charcoal powder, and alcohol-activated paints. March 21st, I visited LSFX. Ellis Studio Inc. is one of the top makeup effects studios in all of Western Canada. Some of their past works include Once Upon a Time, The Flash, X-Files, and Supergirl. March 21st, I was able to meet some of the artists and was taken on a tour of the workshop. I was also required to sign a waiver stating that I couldn't talk about or take any pictures of certain projects, which is why I have limited pictures. They had a wall with life casts of actors' faces, ready to and a bunch of prosthetics packed and ready to be sent off to different productions. I also got to try sculpting on a maquette for the first time, which is over there. Because it was my first time, I didn't get around to the actual sculpting and instead just blocked it out to create a base. I did get a feel for it though because my wrists were sore after a couple days. I was also able to get a private tour at a studio in Los Angeles called Thingergy. Some of their work can be seen in the Umbrella Academy, Wrinkle in Time, and Orville. My mom and I arrived in Los Angeles in the evening on March 24th and visited Frank Ippolito's studio, Thingergy, the next day. And we were welcomed with these lovely signs. Like LSFX, we had to sign a form that basically said we couldn't talk about or take any pictures of ongoing projects that hadn't been released. He gave us a tour of his workshop, and we got to see where everything was being made. He explained that he mostly moved away from makeup and was focusing more on props, costumes, and mold making. I was able to see 12 of their 3D printers and how they designed different projects digitally on a bunch of editing softwares. I also got to go inside their scanning room. There were dozens of cameras attached to the walls to catch every single angle of a person so they can make a 3D picture that they can then use to make a 3D form out of styrofoam of the person and build off of that. And that's his fridge. I started to come up with ideas for a creature and decided on a mermaid. I designed a crown and staff and chose the color scheme, but didn't have the chance to put everything together because this was towards the end of my project. This was just for fun, but it was near the very end of my project, and because I put the mermaid makeup on pause, I thought it would be interesting to add a small evolution of the beauty makeup I did. This was the just extra. The first two pictures are the same makeup with a 2 to 3 year difference, and the hand is me just practicing highlights and shadows, and then that's from the spring performance. As my project progressed, more and more doors opened for me, and I was given many opportunities to grow and learn about this trade of work. The list of things I've done and places I've been lucky enough to visit this past year goes on. I still have such a hard time believing everything I've done. I believe that because the makeup industry has become so publicized, there's been a vast increase in those pursuing it as a hobby or career. From what I've been told and from what I've noticed, it isn't a very difficult career to get into as long as the determination and drive are there. Willingness to put in long hours is a major part of the job as also. The film and television industry appears to be using makeup effects more frequently in creative ways, expanding the makeup industry over the years. Makeup effects lost a lot of headway when CGI started gaining traction in film. Many directors wanted what was cheap, fast, and new. Recently, it seems like it's beginning to swing back to reach a middle ground between the two art forms. I think that practical effects will always play a key role in the film industry. We are most likely looking at a future in the film industry that could very well present the possibility of a balance between CGI and practical effects, where they serve to support and enhance each other. I'd first like to thank my advisors, Diana Ray and Sarah Elizabeth. Diana, I really appreciate all of your guidance and advice. And Sarah, thank you for all of your help and for taking time out of your very busy schedule to help me with my project. I'm so grateful for the infinite support from both of you throughout the year. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for funding the majority of this project and for putting up with a constantly messy dining room table during the stressful weeks. I want to thank my friends for acting as my guinea pigs when I wanted to test out new makeup techniques. Thank you, Amber Alexander, for putting me in contact with Frank Ippolito. And Frank, I really appreciate the tour of your workshop that you gave my mom and me. Thank you, Jason Milani, for taking the time to email me back with extremely helpful and detailed answers to my interview questions. And thank you, Toby and Sandy Lindala, for the amazing tour I got of LSFX. And thank you to the artists at their studio that sculpted with me and answered all of my questions. And lastly, I want to thank all of you for coming to my Masterworks presentation.
I'm going to say that right now, since she's done such an amazing presentation and research paper and everything else above and beyond, and I'm getting the head nod from Diana Ray, that I would like to make the announcement now before we break for lunch that, yes, Miss Leelee Young, you have met all the requirements of the Masterworks program at Iowa Pacific.